Hello, movie patient, and welcome to Film Therapy. I am Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, also known as your film therapist. I am not a real therapist, but I play one on the internet just for the show. And today, my guest on Film Therapy, a guest, I should say, my patient on Film Therapy, is Mr. Jeff Sneider. Welcome, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Doc.
You're welcome. I love that I have all these fake degrees now.
Yeah,
now
you
I'm
should
a
have
doctor.
photos behind you.
I should. That would be great. I need to set
We
dress
got
a
a new.
little bit better. But I do really appreciate Joker. Joker is kind of my muse back there since he's like, you know,
He's
kind
everyone's muse.
is he? He's just kind of like, in that straight jacket and looking all creepy. And
Yeah, you
anyways,
haven't seen my tats.
oh,
I'm just
didn't
kidding.
know
I'm
you had
Jewish.
some. Wait, so that means no tattoos?
No Joker
Got it.
tats. But if
or
I
at
had to get
all?
one, I would
Hmm.
look like Jared Leto in Suicide Squad. Just
Damaged.
right.
All right, so here's how this show goes. It is a storytelling show where I ask the patient three questions. They are the same three questions each time. What is a film that inspires you? What is a film that, or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy. And what is a film that helps you through difficult times? But before we get started with that, I would like my patient to let the other patients that are watching and or in the waiting room, depending, know about themselves. So tell us about yourself, Jeff. Take it
Okay. Let's
away.
see. I fell in love with movies when I was 12 years old, which we'll
Mhm.
get into in this
Yes.
session.
What movie was it? Oh wait,
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
that'll
Just kidding.
come. But there was a movie that changed my life. I went. It made me want to be a writer. I went
Mhm.
to NYU for screenwriting for Tisch, and then while I was at Tisch, I sort of fell into this world of online entertainment journalism.
Mhm.
So I came out here to make it big as a screenwriter, but
Yes.
again, had a bunch of like unpaid intern jobs and needed to make some dough, and the paid intern jobs were over at Variety. And that's how I
Okay.
sort of fell into the trade world. And I was in the trades for 10 years, bouncing back and forth between Variety and the Wrap. And I spread my wings a little with Mashable briefly, and now the next chapter will arrive hopefully soon.
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll
but
be starting
I
2017.
I love movies. I live and breathe them. And yeah, I think that movies are important. People write them off as mere entertainment,
Mhm.
and I feel like they mean more than that to me.
They do, definitely. That is why I started this show because I suffer from depression and found that movies are a way to help me cope with
Hmm.
that depression. Unless you're seeing Manchester by the Sea, then I'm not really coping with anything. But yeah, so that's why I started this show. And I do want to let people know out there, I always throw out a disclaimer, or I try to remember to throw out a disclaimer that, like, I am not a therapist. Jeff is not a therapist. If you need help right now, please call your doctor and or go to a hospital or call 911. So I always have to throw that out there because I think it's important, especially because the show is called
Absolutely,
Film Therapy.
there are you everyone out there that has someone who loves them. And so, if
Mhm.
you are forgetting that around this time of year, which can be hard with the holidays and everything, you know, just know that everyone has that person out
Yes,
there who cares.
absolutely. Hey, Randall, we're glad you're back. Thank you for coming to this session of Film Therapy. So let's get started.
Okay.
Let's start with the first question, which is what is a film that inspires you?
All right. Well, I guess we'll go back to that film that
Okay.
I hinted at the beginning.
Okay, good.
It's not an inspirational film.
It's on. You're
Right.
good.
Yeah. It's not an inspirational film by any means. But the movie is Scream.
Yeah.
That is the film.
Wait, you saw it at 12?
Yeah, 1996.
Oh, man.
I'm 32,
I'm older than you.
but you look so much younger.
That's not
Um, so I
true.
saw Scream as a 12-year-old. I got dropped
uh-huh.
off at the movies by my mom, and I saw it alone. And I saw it before the hype hit. So
Okay.
Scream took a while. And I remember sitting there in the theater, and the killer's like, who is the killer in Friday the 13th? And I was like, Jason. And then they fooled me with the Jason's
Yes,
mother thing,
right.
and I was so my mind was blown that this movie had sort of pulled a fast one on me.
Uh-huh.
I fell in love with the movie then and there, and I'd grown up a horror movie fan. That's how
Uh-huh.
I sort of fell in love with films, was watching Child's Play movies and Nightmare on Elm Street, all that stuff. And I went back the following weekend when I was
Mhm.
12, and I brought a tape recorder,
Uh-oh.
and I recorded the dialogue as a 12-year-old,
Wow.
and I transcribed all the
So
dialogue. So I
illegal.
did like a handwritten, almost like the kids in the Wolf Pack,
Whoa.
did a handwritten script
Yes, The
for
Wolf Pack.
Scream.
That's on Netflix.
Yeah, did a handwritten script for Scream, and studied what I thought made that script so brilliant. And it was no surprise that Kevin Williamson went on to create like Dawson's Creek, which also was one of my favorite
Mhm.
shows as a teenager. So he spoke my language, and he spoke to me, and he made me want to be a writer, and that's why I ended up going to NYU, was because of films like Scream.
That's so cool. I'm just thinking of Dawson's Creek now
I
because
love Dawson's
I
Creek
feel
because
like
me.
that was kind of in the same time as Scream, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they
it
would have
was a
been
year. It was like a
developed.
year, maybe 1 to 3 years after.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I must have been 15 when I saw Scream, and you can't go unless you have someone 18.
Mhm.
So I had my sister take me, and she is not a fan of horror films, and she was just, why did you bring
Mhm.
me to this? Why? And I'm like, this is great. I love this movie.
Just the idea that there were two killers,
Uh-huh.
this mythology that had laid with Sydney's mother.
Right.
I love the opening scene, and how they get rid of the biggest actress in the cast. There
Mm-hmm.
were, it was Jamie
All those
Kennedy,
great
Matthew
things.
Lillard, just a great cast. Rose McGowan. So yeah, Scream was sort of what propelled me into this.
Mm-hmm.
But I've kept track of every movie that I've seen since 1996. 1996
Okay.
was clearly a big
Yes.
year for me. And the first movie that I started keeping that list with was Twister.
Huh.
So that was the first time I was
Oh,
really
cool.
cognizant of like, these are the summer blockbusters. Twister, Mission Impossible. It was that summer, and that
Yes.
was really what created the movie nerd in me.
Wow. I like it. I think I started to realize that movies were a business when I saw Romeo plus and Juliet.
What's up?
that's what
Yes.
that's what Stacy likes to call it.
Hmm.
Because then I was like, how many people are working on this and the costuming, and like I really started to understand it just doesn't all just appear. Like there are people behind the scenes that are putting this all together, and I can be one of those names at the end,
Hmm.
um and something like that. So around the same time,
Okay.
right?
Mid
96 was
90s.
also
That was a
Romeo
hell
and
of a
Juliet.
decade. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't normally know movie dates,
Scott
but
Vance would be very proud of us right now.
what do you know? But Scream was one that I loved. I didn't like the second one. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the second one?
I mean, I think the second one is the second best one. I mean, I think the
Mhm.
series got progressively worse. Um,
I like the third one because of the overlap of
with
Hollywood
Hollywood,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, that
It's
had
kind of
its
funny.
moments. I think I like the second one just with like the college campus and this
Hmm.
movie within a movie stab stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a very meta,
Timothy Olyphant's terrible
self-referential.
teeth.
Right,
I was like, are
Mickey.
those actual fake teeth or is that his teeth and then he got them done? Like, I really don't know.
He
I
had
really have
he had a
no
star
idea.
quality back then with that and Girl Next Door, which you could also say is another movie that got me out to Hollywood, because that's who I ended up coming out here to work for, is Luke Greenfield,
Hmm.
the director of The Girl Next Door. I don't know if you've ever seen that film.
It's not the one with Alicia
It
Cuthbert, is it?
is,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, with her
Yes, I have seen
and
it.
Emile Hirsch, and there were so many great teen comedies, teen sex comedies, or whatever, in
Hmm.
the 80s.
Right.
The 90s, I don't think, had as many of them. Maybe an American
Hmm.
Pie here or whatever. But that is one of those films.
Even
The Girl
American
Next
Pie was
Door.
like 99, right?
Right. Girl Next Door was like 2003 or
Okay.
four, or five. I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah. So that's sort of what made me
Now,
fall
when
in
you
love with movies.
transcribed it,
Hmm.
that was around the time where something like I remember Romeo and Juliet coming out, and you could buy the book that was the script.
Okay. I remember
So,
having the soundtrack for that. It was a
well,
big
yeah, I
soundtrack.
had the soundtrack and the score.
Uh-huh.
I remember that on tape, obviously, because my car only had tapes because I had a 69 VW Bug. It was red with a rag top.
Was that was before or after My So Called Life? Was she in the
I
middle
feel
of
like
that
my
show?
so-called life was like 94,
Right.
but
So it was
maybe
before,
yeah.
and then she got cast as
Yeah.
Juliet. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was she a bigger name than Leo at that point or no?
No.
Okay.
He definitely cuz he was the first one cast. They were going to do Natalie Portman, but they put the two of them together and were like, this kind of looks frightening. Like he looks way too old next to her. And we don't want it to look like a pedophile like sort of film. So we need to go with a girl that looks older.
A weird aside, just pertaining to that movie, I my thesis in high school, my thesis paper was on violence in movies,
Mm-hmm.
and some I'm very well versed in school shootings and that
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Because that
And there
was
was a
of our time in high school when Columbine
basketball
went. Mm-hmm.
diaries with Leo. But I remember, I think it was I'm trying to remember. I think it was a school shooting up in Oregon, and the kid put the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack on full blast and put it on repeat, one of the tracks. And he killed his parents, and then he went to the school. And so when the
Oh
police
dear.
came up to this house in the middle of the green forest in Oregon or whatever, Oregon, the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack was blaring, and it was just
Mm-hmm.
such a haunt. I remember the news clips; it was very haunting. That's my Romeo and Juliet
That
story,
is
associating that with like
frightening.
a real life tragedy and active violence.
Oh,
Sorry.
wait. Did you grow up in Oregon, or you just heard
No,
that story?
no.
Okay,
I was
wait.
just well versed in those kinds of
All right,
incidents.
all right. Interesting. Yeah, because
Into the
when
psyche there.
so Columbine happened when you were in high school, right?
Right,
Or middle
99, yeah.
school?
This was
Okay.
before
So
Columbine, I
I would have
think.
been a senior when you were a freshman. That's how that
Yeah,
goes. Okay.
I guess so.
So that would definitely be like the start of like understanding school shootings and like
There, I mean,
that's when
it
it
wasn't the first,
began.
but yeah, there were a few others. Like Basketball
Right.
Diaries led to one.
Mm-hmm.
Just mass shootings, things like that.
Right.
It's weird that that was my thesis in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in college, my thesis was on interracial cop movies,
Oh, like Lethal Weapon.
like 48 Hours and Seven. So
Hmm.
not necessarily like a buddy
Okay.
comedy,
Yeah.
and racial dynamics in those kinds of movies. So that's the weird shit that I'm fascinated by.
Interesting. Interesting. I remember having to write a paper when I was getting my teaching credential. This is weird. About like conforming to society and how rollerball and the village were two examples of having to
Rollerball,
do that.
interesting.
Yeah. And like
So I didn't know you have a teaching credential.
I do.
I was an education minor. That was sort of like
Oh,
my
interesting.
fallback. It's I've
Hmm.
always
Your fallback. I like it.
I would have liked to have pursued that. Believe me, I chose wrong.
My teaching story is pretty limited in terms of like I mean I taught for years, but originally I went to school to get my theater degree at SC, and I wanted to teach high school theater, like
Okay,
be in
so you were
charge
an
of a
actress.
theater
I don't think I knew
program.
that about you.
Yeah, and then I decided I hate high school kids, and I was like, this is not going to work out.
Mhm.
Like I didn't realize how much I did not like them because when you go through high school and when you go through a program like the theater program I went through, you're looking at it through your own eyes. And it was so great for me.
Mhm.
But now coming back as someone that wants to be an educator in that, realizing that not everyone loves it. Like some people take that class because they think it's an easy A and they don't care and
Right.
things like that. And I was just like, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to work with these kids that don't give a shit? So
It's a tough
then
age.
So I ended up actually going to my second grade teacher and saying, "Hey, can I check out your class for a day?"
All right, and that's how you
Because
started working with younger kids.
and so then I was like, I
Interesting.
need to get my elementary credential
The
because I really like
things.
the younger kids. And you use improv a lot throughout the day because sometimes you'll have 10 minutes where what are we going to do with this class for 10 minutes? Like, what kind of, activity can I do with them? And so you have to pull on those strings. And so I found that I was using theater and like I'd have kids do
Mhm.
like theater stuff as projects
Mhm.
and
I'd
I
do that
enjoyed it.
at summer camp. I'd have to write a camp play and
Hmm.
cast kids and everything. And yeah, some were super nervous and some just took
Yeah.
to it. And I don't know, it's funny.
So yeah, have my teaching credential, have my master's in
Okay,
education,
we're
and
learning things about each
there
other
you
here
go.
on Film
We
Therapy.
are. Let's get into our second question.
Okay.
Unless you have something from the chat you'd like to share, which you're welcome to. Um, What is a film or scene from a movie that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, perhaps it is happy. I don't know. You let me know when you're
Ooh,
ready.
a film or scene that triggers a memory.
Mm-hmm.
That is tough. Let's see. You know, I I went through a personal trauma, and I think that Captain Phillips was the first movie that I
Mm.
saw afterwards.
Okay.
Um, and I just remember I lost my shit at that movie, and it was when he was writing the note to his family when he, but right before the rescue was going to happen, he's scrawling out this, love you note to his family. That stuff gets me.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost it there. It's not that it triggered a memory. I think it just emphasized that, like, in those final moments or those moments of despair, whatever, that's who matters most. And I've
Mm-hmm.
always been a sucker for movies like that. Something like
Mm.
Warrior. You ever seen Warrior?
Yes. I
Yeah,
just saw it recently.
really,
What do
yeah,
you
the
know?
end of Warrior, where Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy embrace, and they leave the ring as brothers going down that hallway. That closing shot, like anything with brothers gets me. Because
Sure.
I have two younger brothers
Oh,
myself.
nice. How much
Uh,
younger?
I'm 32. One's 30 and one's 27,
Okay.
28 on Friday.
Okay.
I have to remember to wish him a happy birthday. He
Those are close together.
Yeah, within 5 years.
Wow.
So I think it's those kinds of movies where I like, Monster Calls. Did you see that yet? You didn't,
No.
right? A
That's
Monster
coming out
Calls is
wide
like
this Friday.
a young boy whose mother is dying of
Right.
cancer, and my mom has gone through a similar battle, and yeah, watching that movie just brought up some really tough memories, and
Mm-hmm.
your head goes to certain places, and that's what I think is great about movies, is they make you reflect on what's important to you, and
Right.
they make you feel like, if I look at my top 10 movies list this year, all those movies for the most part made me feel something. So something like Moonlight, while technically proficient and well done, I didn't feel it
Mm-hmm.
didn't choke me up the way that I expected that story to, and that's why it missed the cut for me.
Yeah.
So emotion's a big thing for me. What about you?
Well, I don't normally answer these questions,
Oh, okay.
but
I don't mean to put you on the spot. That's the journalist in
but
me.
let me just well I can say that 20 2016, once I started, even just the latter part of it, starting in like September, I have cried more in movies from that point to now than I've ever cried in movies, and I think it's because of the show,
Mhm.
because like I'm looking at things differently and how it relates to my life, or just people I know necessarily. I want to see a Monster Calls. I know it's going to be rough for
Yeah.
me too. I had a friend that who's 2 years younger than me who just lost the battle with cancer
Hmm.
like a month ago, I would say. And this is someone that I was on the high school dance team with for, at least 2 years. And the most positive person I've ever met in my life, probably. And and she had battled cancer for, it seemed like, much longer than it really was. And she was always like positive about it.
Hmm.
Super, like I was like, I would be just like, why is this happening
Right.
to
You want to
me? And
wallow in
she's
that
just like,
pain and
it's
suffering,
okay.
and
I just, and there were times when I'd see her post something and it would be like, I'm not having a good day today, but I did get to see my boys and I haven't seen them. And
right.
they're like, gosh, they're younger than my kids. So actually the oldest one's probably 4, so the other one's 2. And I just like have been thinking about her and her husband, and
And
just like how sad that this has happened, and
yeah, I mean,
this
we're
is what
we're
life
getting
is.
exactly. We're getting older. Starting to see a lot of the celebrities we grew up worshiping start
Hmm.
to pass. I've had friends, family friends who've passed recently, and yeah, it's that is life, and I
Hmm.
think that the tree in A Monster Calls helps this young boy cope and deal with grief. And the film is actually about physically letting go.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I think that it's a cathartic experience inside of a theater, and I'm looking for that kind of stuff when I go to the movies. I want to
Yeah.
feel something.
Right. The same goes with A Manchester by the Sea, which we've
Right.
discussed, and all the grief and heartache that Casey Affleck's character goes through. And there is a moment where his character and Michelle Williams are trying to somewhat have a discussion together, and it's just like the hardest thing I've
Yeah,
seen on
it's
screen
gut
because
wrenching.
they do such a good job at portraying this situation. And I just am like, as a mom and as a, viewer of the movie and knowing what they've been through, and I
Right.
just am like, I can't. That was a moment
And
where I
that's
was like,
and that what his backstory, which I won't reveal here,
mm-hmm,
sneaks up on you because you don't know what it is. It's not part of the log
right,
line or the premise,
mm-hmm,
and then that is a great example of the kind of film that um, conjured memories for me because he that character Lee Chandler, he has a lot of shame and
mm-hmm,
guilt, and I can't say I'm very different.
hmm.
We're all haunted by our past to some extent.
Exactly. One thing that I was missing in that movie, just from like a perspective of, as a moviegoer, is I would have liked to see more of him before the
As
tragedies,
like, yeah. Hmm.
because I don't feel we saw like, oh, this is really a different person altogether. But there's hints of it, so I think they were
the,
going
the
for that,
scene where he's
obviously.
crawling all over his sick wife, I think
Yeah,
actually shows his personality, and also the stuff on the ship, on the boat with his nephew as a
that's
young
true.
boy.
That's true.
It shows he has a great sense of humor.
Hmm.
He's loud, he's boisterous, and then what happens, and he becomes withdrawn and sullen.
Hmm.
And that is a great movie about depression.
Hmm. It
So
is. So if you want to be depressed, go see that movie. Or actually,
there's moments of humor and light
there
in
are.
Manchester by the Sea.
That's true. There are.
Um, depression, I think, is an ongoing battle. Sounds like you've waged, and I know I've waged
Hmm.
in the past. And you never beat it.
No, I think that's what's interesting is that people think you can,
Right, it's always there.
and they people that don't experience it. First of all, I envy them. But second of all, like they don't understand that it can be the smallest thing that will put you into like a depressive state, like
Yep.
the smallest thing.
Hmm.
And you're just like, that doesn't make sense. Like you didn't lose someone, or you didn't have this happen to you. And it's like everything can always be worse, and for everyone. So why does it matter if something so small bothers me, as opposed to
Right.
something
People get
large?
triggered by different things.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
Hmm.
Like I've interacted with a few people lately that don't understand what depression is. And now I can say go see Manchester by the Sea, because
Right.
that will hopefully open your eyes to it.
Hmm.
But it is something that you don't get over, but you go into different ups and downs.
Hmm.
So
You just try to manage the pain.
exactly. Let's get into our final question, which is, what is a film that helps you through difficult times? Or what is a film that cheers you up? Because that's kind of the same question.
I think there's an easy answer to this question.
Okay, good.
I think it's the holiday classic, which I just watched, Home Alone.
Okay. Home
Home
Alone's great.
Alone. You cannot be in a bad mood watching Home Alone. It is just infectious. Uh, Macaulay Culkin, one of the greatest child performances ever. I could
Hmm.
watch that. I think I did watch it every day for second and third grade. I would just come home
Mm.
and watch that movie. And if I had that luxury, nowadays I would do the same thing. Um,
My daughter, we own it, and I've said like, you can't watch that yet because you're a little young.
mhm.
And she's like, "Well, am I old enough now? Am I old enough now?" I was like, "Maybe 6. I guess maybe you could be old enough, but I kind of want to wait till Rylan is a little older, so that way they can both watch it together.
Oh
Because I
yeah,
feel like she would get frightened by the idea of the wet
burglars.
bandits,
Yeah.
like going into this boy's house and thinking like that's going to happen to me. And I have to be prepared or something. Like I don't want her to get frightened by that aspect
Hmm.
of it. But
It's like a live
she's
action
about there.
cartoon too. I mean, it's like watching, when Tom and Jerry, Itchy and Scratchy kind of thing.
Hmm.
But it also has heart.
Yes.
Again, which my favorite movies, they pretty much all have heart.
Hmm.
It's why The Crow is my favorite superhero movie, because
Hmm.
to me The Crow is a love story about getting vengeance for a loved one, and
Right.
I think it just treats that subject so much deeper than any other comic book movie that I'd seen. So yeah, it all comes back to heart for me, and Home Alone never fails to cheer me up, put a smile on my face.
Did you see it in theaters? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I would have been 6, so maybe, but I don't think so.
I remember for sure seeing that in theaters. And I also remember seeing like another Christmas movie, The Santa Claus, in
Hmm.
theaters as well. For some reason, those movie going experiences stick with me because when we went to see the Santa Claus, it was like we got to see that, but like pretty much all the other adults got to see vampire. Oh, I can't
Vampire in
interview
Brooklyn.
interview with
Oh,
a
okay, okay.
vampire. I was just like, what's that movie? What's that all about?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I think, man, I remember seeing An American Tail when I was really young, or maybe Five Goes West. Those are different movies. That's a
Hmm.
sequel, whatever.
Yeah,
And then
that is the sequel.
my earliest, for sure, I can remember movie experience was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was a huge
Mm,
Turtles kid. And I remember sitting on the
sweet.
floor in the front row, like it
Oh.
was totally sold out, and I was just looking up at the screen like that. I didn't care. I was in heaven,
I like
even though
it.
that
I
movie's
like
super
it.
goofy. Do you have a favorite turtle? Don't get this wrong.
Raphael's pretty good. I always liked Donatello because of
Donatello's the
his
brains.
weapon and that he was purple. Like
Yeah,
those
no,
are my
I like his
reasonings.
purple outfit too.
I like the new turtles that are, I don't know, their animation kind of looks different than what
Yeah,
I've been accustomed to.
guilty pleasures.
So
Second
they
one
have
was a
some
little
good stuff.
goofy.
But yeah, or the series that they have going on
Okay.
now. Yeah,
I
with
haven't been
Sean
keeping up with that
Astin
one. The
and
voice people for I love that.
Paulson. Um,
Sarah Paulson does the
no, starts with an R. Ron? No,
Ron
I can't.
Perlman?
Rob
Rob?
Paulson.
I don't
He's Pinky in the Brain. He's Pinky. Yeah, Narf. Anyways, but yeah,
Any
ah,
other film therapy questions for me?
that's
I'm
it.
I'm on
Those
your
are
couch. You got
all.
me.
Well, let's see if you know what. If you're in the chat and you have a question that you would like to ask Jeff, a sincere, kind question. No a-holes in the chat, okay? If you have a question that you would like to ask it now, and you better ask it quickly because I'm going to be closing this up and I'll be done. So I'll give you a moment. And while I'm giving you a moment, I will ask you, what about Home Alone 2?
I like Home Alone too. I watched that on the plane coming back from Boston, and I didn't. Man, I forgot how violent that movie is. It is that kid. He really would have grown up to be like a complete psychopath, Kevin McAllister.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
I like it. I like the relationship that he has with the bird lady, and the scene with Duncan, the head of the owner of the toy store and everything.
I don't remember that one as much.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember some of it, but
it's no Home Alone. But as far as sequels go, they could have
yeah.
done way worse. They have done way worse.
Says Jeff, you always get the short end
Jeff, you
of
were
a crappy
wait,
stick.
Jeff, you were totally right about Assassin's Creed. Yes, I was.
Okay,
I
tell
haven't seen
us.
Assassin's Creed,
Wait,
but I got so much crap on AMC on Collider Movie Talk, whatever the hell
why?
it was, because I was ragging on this trailer, which looked awful. And they're like, no, it's going to be amazing. Everyone says this movie is garbage. I haven't even seen it. I actually went to see a movie. I saw Passengers in Boston,
I saw that
and they
too.
had people polling outside of Assassin's Creed. And I was like, what are you guys polling for? And they're like, Assassin's Creed. I'm like, what kind of responses are you getting? They're like, man, everyone's just shitting on this movie.
I finally got polled once. It was after that. It was recently. Gosh, what was the movie? I don't even know. It's that one where the guy it's like some kid's demon possessed and the guy goes into his mind to try to get him out.
Sinister? No, the other one. In Insidious, right?
Yeah.
There's like 18 movies like
I
that.
think.
They're all nonsense.
I don't know. It came out this year.
Um
And I was just like, I don't even know what I just
Yeah,
saw.
I'm
I was like, I liked some of the premise, like that he's going in. It's like the cell, but with a
it's just
possessed child.
it's just crazy. I got a bad rap on Collider or Movie
And
Talk or
now
whatever
people are like,
because I
yep,
crapped on
you're
Assassin's
right.
Creed. Like, if it had been any other trailer, I probably would have loved it. And
He could.
yes, Clint, I do often get the short end of a crappy stick. This last time in particular was absolutely insane.
Randall says, if you could pick one movie to watch forever, what would it be? That's always a hard question because I always feel like,
Yeah,
what
like
I never would want
Home Alone and
that.
Scream are definitely in that conversation. The Crow and maybe like Pulp Fiction or something. Jeff, what's next for Team Patriots? Team Trek. It sounds like. It sounds like we're going to be taking on Mance and who's his buddy over there? Is it Inman?
Inman.
Please,
What?
please. JT,
Come on.
JT and I are gonna steamroll those two.
Well, you guys are the heel team and they're the face team, so it makes sense that
This
you
is
shit
heels and
talk.
faces and villains and heroes. It's just like I didn't ask to be cast as a heel. I'm the hero of my own story
Well,
here.
because you're with a heel. So you're
What
automatically
makes
won
JT
by
such a bad
proxy.
guy? JT is like the nicest guy I know.
I
He's
know,
never said
isn't
a
he?
bad word about anybody. He just he gets so much shit. Even when I won the title match, everyone's like, Jeff, you're just great, and JT was dead weight. I'm like, you know how many questions this guy answered that I had no idea about? Total team effort. Thanks, JT.
No one's ever dead weight except for maybe Finstock.
Yes.
And then, sorry, I
Even
can't
here
do
in
this.
Kenya.
Movie you're most looking forward to this year? We kind of discussed that in the 6 Degrees of Future Film
I didn't.
episode.
I didn't though.
Okay.
I don't know. This is a tough one
Most looking
I'm
forward
gonna
to.
tell you a movie that no one else is gonna have on their list. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yes.
Chuck Hank and the San Diego Twins, which I've been looking forward to for years.
Uh-huh.
It's a follow up to Bellflower, which was at Sundance years and years ago.
Mhm.
Tiny little movie that I loved.
Is that the boys with the car?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Those guys are making another. They have made
Nice.
another movie. David Arquette is in it. It's just
sweet.
imagine like the Warriors on crack or something. That's kind of what
Oh.
I'm imagining.
Oh dear.
And I hope that gets a Toronto berth this year.
Hmm.
Chuck Hank and the San Diego Twins.
What movie of 2017 do you think will be the biggest shock in terms of being good?
I
don't know.
Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think Spider-Man
You don't
could
think
actually be
Spider-Man
cool.
would be?
I think
I
it would
mean,
be.
I would think. I think it's gonna be.
I don't
good.
know that it'll be a shock, but like, listen, the last two Spider-Man movies were so bad. So it's the same people involved. Like, Amy Pascal was the head of Sony, and then she gets fired, and now she's producing Spider-Man movies. So what's the difference?
The difference is Robert Downey Jr.
But I was on that. Yeah, I was on the Spider-Man Homecoming set, and I think it looks pretty cool. So
Okay,
I do think that has some potential.
Well, there you go.
I will be shocked.
Let's see. Oh, it always like goes weird for me when I try to scroll up.
Are either of you interested in Avatar? No, I'm not interested in the sequels whatsoever.
Why are we doing it? I just want to know.
I don't know.
I appreciated Avatar for what it was, and I'm like,
Totally.
I saw that. That was great. I'm done.
You missed your window. It is
It
like how many
does.
years later? We don't need this movie anymore.
And that story is so global that I'm just like, are the next ones going to be so global? And what I mean by that is, you could watch it in English in a different country that does not speak English and know exactly what's happening, and that's why they have that story. So like,
that's the universality of cinema and images. You don't even need dialogue.
That's right. So I would rather not see another movie like that.
This was fun today. I feel like I got it on the couch here.
Let's get it
on the chair couch.
And let's see if there's one last one. And Power Rangers.
Power Rangers and Pirates of the Caribbean. You guys cannot be excited for these movies. I will not allow you to be excited. Sorry. Power Rangers.
It comes natural, maybe. Clint, are you talking about being a heel? Is that what you're talking about?
I think it's the me getting fired and getting the short end of the stick. That comes natural. Yes, it does. Beauty and the Beast will be a big. That'll be a $1 billion movie.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't like the Beast's horns, but I'm looking forward to it.
Dan Stevens for James Bond, guys. Let's get that going.
I do wish that the same guy that did the voice of the Beast in the animated Disney film was doing the voice, because he is incredible. I used to remember his name, and now I can't think of it. So
Oh well.
It'll come to
Lo-
me in like 10 minutes.
2017 will have something for everyone.
It will. Most years do.
Although probably not a new Tarantino movie.
Maybe not another
You have
video
to
game
maybe
film.
wait until 2018 for that.
Is he working on one?
Nothing's been announced. We don't know what he's up to over there.
I like
My
him.
boy Quentin.
He's one of my favorites. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you.
Everyone can find you nowhere because
Yeah,
he's not doing social media right now.
Yeah,
It's a block out. So don't tweet
you'll
him.
see me when you see me.
Yeah, you will. Or you can catch him Fridays on
That's
the
right.
Popcorn
Meet the
Talk
Movie
Network.
Press. Forgetting about that one.
Yeah.
Tune in. Follow my boy at Showbiz Simon. Go live at 9 a.m.
There you
And
go.
we're gonna have Brienne on real soon.
I'm gonna be on there.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I gotta return the favor here. So wishing you and your listeners a happy and healthy 2017.
Thank you. You can find me pretty much all the time on Twitter, unfortunately, at Miss Movies. And yeah, that's all I've got going on. I have film therapy tomorrow with RB3, also known as Robert Butler
Yeah, he's a
III.
good man.
It's coming on here. Maybe I'll wear my Wanger shirt. And
Do you have a Wanger shirt?
did you not see our match with Team Trek?
Forgive
right,
me.
well,
I wasn't
how
paying
dare
attention
you?
to the
How
wardrobe.
dare you?
But, I'm gonna get you a
Weren't
Team
you
Patriots
there?
shirt.
Wait, no, you weren't there. That's right.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know where I am anymore.
And
Say hi to the bald one, Jeff.
I have a
Simon.
mini session on Friday with, I guess I'll announce it, with Greg Miller, who's like amazing. You don't even know who that is, but that's
Greg
okay.
Miller?
I'm looking forward to it. All right.
As you should be. I will
That
tune
is
in.
all, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye. 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 Bye.